3 goals in the last 6 minutes at the Liberty see Spurs snatch victory from the absolute jaws of defeat. In a late show from Maurizio Pochettino's men, we discuss last night's breathtaking victory and preview Watford to come on Saturday on tonight's e-Spurs Extra Time.
Come on, you Spurs! Come on, you Spurs! Come on, you Spurs! Come on, you Spurs! Tottenham!
Hi guys, welcome back for a very special e-Spurs Extra Time. You can of course follow us across all the usual social media platforms. We're on Twitter and Instagram at e_Spurs. We're also on YouTube, Pinterest and Tumblr. And for all the links to all e-Spurs platforms, you can head to our brand new website of www.e-spurs.com. On the e-Spurs podcast tonight, we'll be talking about last night against Swansea. We'll be taking your questions for tonight's panel and we'll be previewing Watford to come midday Saturday. But before we talk all things Spurs tonight, let's introduce the panel talking us through the next hour. I'm delighted to say we've got Katrina Law joining us, the co-chairman of the Tottenham Hotspur Trust. Katrina, how are you?
I'm really good, thanks, Ricky. Just about got my heartbeat back to normal after last night's shenanigans. All good?
And you and all of us, Kat. And I'm pleased to say we've got Declan Wiseman joining us. Declan is the Tottenham team manager at Last Word on Sports.com. Dec, how are you?
Yeah, great, thanks. Thanks for having me on.
Pleasure, absolute pleasure. And I'm delighted to say we've got one of our own, Mr. Ian Gunn, joining us. Ian, how are you?
I'm very well, Ricky, and it's lovely to welcome Kat and Declan to the show. Really looking forward to tonight. You know, I think you can tell in my voice that it's still a bit sort of hoarse after last night, so you'll have to bear with me and up the noise levels if you need to when you come to process the show.
Ian, are all the limbs in place? That's the main thing.
Oh, just about. Talking about, you know, what Kat was saying about the heart rate. I've got one of these Fitbits on my arm. Other fitness bands are available in the high street. It was up to about 130 when that third goal went in.
I bet it was. Ian, you were there. I mean, let's talk about the game. I mean, the first half performance, people would arguably say, probably one of the worst first half performances this season from Spurs. I think it was very much there to see that we were really missing Victor Wanyama. Second half, you want your big players to step up. Dele Alli, Christian Eriksen, Heung-min Son. What do you make of it?
Well, I'm going to do something I don't normally do on a Spurs podcast, but I'm going to give a lot of credit to Swansea. I thought they set their game plan out really well. They defended in depth, they defended narrow, and they made it really difficult for us to get our, you know, fast moving game going. You know, they hit us on the break, went 1-0 up, and then they seemed quite comfortable to contain and frustrate in equal measure. So for 88 minutes, I'd say that although we had plenty of possession, you know, Swansea hadn't been forced into any last ditch sort of, you know, major defending work, or, you know, Fabianski hadn't been forced into any sort of spectacular saves. A few speculative efforts, but, you know, outside of that, you know, the game plan was going perfectly for Swansea until the 88th minute.
It really was. Bring it on to you, Kat. That's the first time in Premier League history that a team losing in the 88th minute goes on to win a game by 2 goals.
Wow.
What do you make of this Spurs side under Maurizio? It just seems to be growing from strength to strength, you know, game by game, season by season.
Absolutely. I mean, I've had my season ticket now for 19 years, I think it is. And this is the most sustained, persistent spell of joy that any Tottenham team has given me, to be utterly honest with you. We've had flashes of brilliance before. So qualifying for the Champions League in 2010 and games like Newcastle under Redknapp, they were brilliant. But in terms of a sustained entertainment level, the last year certainly has been incredible. And I think it's been commented on a lot that soft underbelly that Tottenham was synonymous with Tottenham now seems to have gone. Maurizio literally seems to have trained that out of them. There's such a resilience there, isn't there? There's a never say die, there's a keep fighting till the final whistle, and that's all we asked for. No team has gained as many points from losing positions, neither have they. So, you know, that's all more power to his elbow. I think he's working wonders over there, and it's now the team needs to win something. I think we're on the cusp of doing something great. let's just try and keep going, keep the squad together, and the future's really bright.
It really, really is. And Kat, like you alluded to there, I mean, it's 17 points recovered from losing positions this season, the most in the Premier League, 53 points overall since Maurizio took over. Bringing it on to you, Dec, have you ever seen such a Spurs side for you growing up? What do you put it down to?
I think the key thing is mentality. It's just a never say. I think Katrina made a point of the never say die attitude, and that's one thing that we've definitely improved on under Pochettino. Yeah, the amount of the last gasp winners, it's not an accident. A lot of pundits, they sort of debate, is it a bit lucky? But there's no luck involved there. It's the hard work on the training ground. It's the mentality that's instilled in each of those players who have their belief in their ability and in their fellow players to be able to win a game, no matter what the odds. Even if it's 89 minutes, who would have thought it'd be 3-1 full time? Well, obviously the players did, so they went and did that, and that was a cracking result.
Absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. It really is. Ian, Heung-min Son, 5 goals in his last 3 appearances for Spurs in all competition. Often criticised this season when starting games for not coming up with the goods. By God, did he come up with the goods, didn't he, at the end?
He certainly did, and it's interesting that I've seen some analysis today, and you forget, sometimes good players can't be good all the time, but the stats don't lie. And he's actually weighed in with quite a few decent goals and quite a few assists. Did I read somewhere he's almost up with next to sort of like Eden Hazard, and with regards to goals and assists and involvement with the team. And I just think this is a man that's often criticised for not delivering the goods. I was stood in the ground yesterday, and there was a lot of dissent being sort of like angled towards or directed towards him and some of the other players. And I'm just thinking, what if we've learned over the last year, as Kat said earlier on, is let's learn a bit of patience sometimes, and you'd be surprised what's happened, what can happen. He's a fantastic player, and he's yet another one, and I agree with everything we've said tonight, that this is probably the best Tottenham team I've seen for many, many a year.
Really, really is. And Kat, coming on to trying to be patient with players, brings us on very nicely to Vincent Janssen, who's suffered, let's be honest, unprecedented stick from all quarters this season. Last night he comes on. I mean, I don't know if he meant it, that beautiful assist for Son's winner.
Yeah.
But I mean, I tell you what, that was sublime, wasn't it?
That was stunning. I mean, I've only seen it on Match of the Day, but I have rewound several times. Beautiful. I'm not sure that he's had unprecedented abuse. I think us Spurs fans have given out a fair bit to some strikers before him. But yes, I'm with you. And I actually thought it was lovely. On social media last night especially, the tide seemed to have really turned. And he won the Man of the Match poll, didn't he, on the Spurs official Twitter feed, which was really lovely. So I think, most fans are willing him to do well. And now he seems to have set down a marker that shows the class that he has. So let's give him a start on Saturday. Let's get him out there. I think he'll be a great asset to the team.
OK, well, and sticking with you, Kat, for a second. I mean, we have to remind ourselves that last night, Hugo Lloris, Danny Rose, Victor Wanyama, Harry Winks, Eric Lamela, Harry Kane, all missing. Kane has, he's missed the last 8 games. People question our squad depth, but I mean, what a way to answer your critics last night, wasn't it? Yeah,
absolutely. Completely agree with you. I think it's a difficult one for us, isn't it? Because I think our starting 11 are so good that it's very difficult to even look round the other teams and go, yeah, well, he'd slot in. I'm really comfortable with our starting 11. Obviously, you need depth in your squad, and you need a decent bench. I think that was an issue last night. The bench was perhaps not as strong as it could have been. But that's because, as you said, we had 6 or 7 players out. I think you've got to be realistic. When you're looking at the level of players that we want to bring in, they're going to have to play second fiddle to our first 11. And that is difficult. So I don't think you're going to get much better than we've got at the moment in that position. And I think the squad players, when they've been called upon, have massively stepped up. And they did last season, to be honest, as well, which is great to see. It's great to see that Pochettino has confidence in them, that he'll play them, and that when they're given their big moment, 9 times out of 10, I'd say they take them, which is good.
Yeah, completely agree with you. And bring it on to you, Dec. Dele Alli, Christian Eriksen, Heung-min Son, 45 goals this season combined in all. It's not bad for a side, like I say, that typically, according to some pundits out there, rely on Harry Kane, is it?
Yeah, one-man team? I don't think so. Yeah, those three have been excellent this season. They really have stepped up to the mark when we needed them. I think a key problem we always had over the last sort of recent past, really, is a striker to score the goals. But here we've got three different players in three different positions that can score the goals, and I think that's a really crucial part of a team that needs to win something. It needs to have the players who can get the produce the goals to do that. And with those three players, I think the key thing is they all link up very well, and that's kind of when you have three good players who can all score a goal, you can't keep tabs on all those three players. Whereas I guess the downside with Kane is that he can be marked out the game sometimes because they're all concentrating on him. But when you've got those four maybe on the pitch, it's going to be very hard to mark any of those out the game, so more chance for goals.
Yeah, and you can just steal the time, the players' movement. I mean, last night, Ericsson, to wrap the game up, I mean, Swansea, they just couldn't live with the movement at the end. You could see they were tiring, and it's credit, like as we said even previously, to Pochettino's training regime. You can just see that we seem to get stronger and stronger and stronger towards the end of games, and we've arguably had more games in Swansea this season, but yet somehow we seem to play stronger at the end of games. It's just incredible, isn't it?
Oh, it is strange, yeah. But I think it's just credit to Pochettino and his training and the mentality he's brought to the club. That 90 minutes is not a football match is 90 minutes plus the 7 we had last night. But you keep playing to the end, and if you can nick some goals at the end, I think clearly there's a big opportunity for that in today's game.
There really, really is. Ian, back to you. I mean, listen, I don't think we need to gloss over too much the first half. I think we all know it wasn't a great performance. But the one man, the go-to guy this season, we can always seem to rely on to bring us back into games, Dele Alli. Running out of superlatives to this guy. I mean, some people will question, obviously, his temperament at times, but wouldn't you just take that every time for his ability to always step up to the plate when required?
In a word, yes. He's another one of those lads, and that you dip down, and I used to watch the football on Channel 5 for over the last few years, and saw this young lad playing for MK Dons, and he was trumpeted as the next best thing, and you watch him, you think, could he do it on a wet Wednesday in Stoke? Well, he's proven that he can.
Yeah.
And he's proven that he can do it on the biggest stages. So we've really unearthed a real diamond there, and I think they picked up on it on Match of the Day last night, because I got to watch it finally today, that his movement for the equalising goal, everybody else had sort of was looking to see what would happen as the ball came across. He wasn't. He was gambling, like all good strikers should do, all good offensive players should do, for the ball that might come in the right position for him. And that, for me, is a mark of a real special player.
He truly is. I mean, he's been involved in 10 goals, 5 assists in his last 8 appearances for Tottenham in all competitions, yet to lose a Premier League game in which he has scored in, 13 goals in his last 12 Premier League games so far in 2017, and he's got as many goals as Sergio Aguero, more than Eden Hazard, and more than Sadio Mane. What a player. Bringing it on to you, Kat. Another player who suffered stick at the start of the season was Christian Eriksen. I mean, 7 goals, 10 assists for the season now. Another player really stepping up, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. I think Eriksen's he is a special player, but I also think he's a special case. It's not always obvious how much he's contributing to the actual team, how much he contributes, off the ball, and what he does when he's got it, when he has the ball. So I think if you're not watching Tottenham consistently, it's very easy to say, he's underperforming. He should have been dropped at the start of the season, etc., etc. You kind of need to really know what you're looking for with him. I think he's a special talent. I think, in a way, if we lost him, it would be a bit like when we lost Carrick, that no one really appreciated him when he played for us, and when he went, it was like, God, there's a massive hole here.
Yeah.
So, his creativity, and I thought last night he was excellent towards the end as well. He seems to be stepping up. You're absolutely right.
Really does. Bringing it on to you, Dec. I mean, we have to ask this question. Sorry, I know we've had such an upbeat show so far, but Moussa Sissoko, is that one of his last games in a Spurs shirt? Dec, what do you think?
When I saw him in the starting 11, I was a bit surprised. Especially centre mid as well. Like, where does he play? That's the question. Is he a winger? Is he a central player? I think he just seems to be quite limited. We played him in central midfield against Swansea. I felt like he just likes to do. He can do the simple things sometimes, like he can tackle, hold a ball, take a ball a few yards, pass it off. But I think there's a chance early on in the game is clear on goal that he squared it and spurned the chance. So he might still get a chance yet with the injuries. Same as they are, again, I think it's a sort of necessity. He has to play, so maybe he's got another chance to redeem himself yet.
Bringing it to you, Ian. I mean, I want to stick on Sissoko for a second. I mean, I would say Spurs as a fan base, we're a fairly patient fan base from what we've had in terms of players. But do you think we've made our mind up on Sissoko very quickly for the amount of money the club have forked out on him? I think he's only had around 120 minutes of actual Premier League football. Is that enough to judge a player on? What do you think?
Can I link this with the Janssen situation?
Yeah, of course you can.
With Janssen comes on the pitch. He puts heart and soul into his performances on the pitch. He runs and he holds the ball up. And I think I said it on the last pod. He had some pretty robust treatment at the hands of the Burnley back two. And he took it all and he brought players in. With Sissoko, it's often his first touch, his control, and I know we've said it before on the pod. Although he's a French international, has he got his head right? Do you see what I'm saying? Is it the case of, is he the right player? As we've always said over the last year or so, when Potter's been in charge, is he the right player for the system? Is he prepared to train hard to be considered for the squad? And for me, I often wonder whether that is the player that we've got. And
I
whether
completely agree with you, by the way.
What do you think, Kat? Kat, from your perspective, was a lot of money for the club to fork out on him. Let's not beat around the bush. It was a lot of money. We haven't really seen a return for that yet.
Well, first of all, there is a bit of a misconception over the actual price tag there, because we haven't paid all that money. It's split over 5 years. So if we sell him before the end of that contract, we won't have paid anywhere near that. But anyway, that's swings and roundabouts. But I do think he's hampered by that massive price tag. I think with all of Pochettino's players now, it's as much about attitude as it is about aptitude and ability. So when you're looking to recruit a player, it will be somebody who buys into his project, into his ethos, into his vision. And that means triple training sessions. That means being ultra fit. That means learning to play in a fluid system. That means everything that you're asked to do, you will take on board. And he looks for that versatility in a player as well. I think the issue is more with Sissoko's attitude than his aptitude. He can clearly do it. It's whether or not he feels like doing it. And that's a major problem for most Spurs fans. Because the one thing that we ask when players go onto the pitch, in our shirt, in our proud lily white and blue, is that they put in the effort, that they play with passion, that they give everything for the shirt, basically. And I can't see him doing that. That's my problem.
Yeah, it is a worry. I mean, it's funny what you just say there, Kat. It echoes what Pochettino said last night. I think this is one of those quotes that make you stand up and really listen. It's one of those historic ones that I think would go down in the club's history. He says, the most important thing is the badge. When you play for Tottenham, it's not about the names, it's about the team. I mean, I think we all can see that at the moment, the amount of money we've spent, we're not getting a return on it, which is just a shame because there's definitely a player in there. We've seen it, at the Euros. You would think, Kat, as well, with the injuries we've got, this is a great chance for him to step up, isn't it? Let's see what he's made of. Yeah,
absolutely. I don't understand it. I'm not inside his head and I'm not talking to him. So everything that you're saying makes sense to me. As a professional footballer, if you are playing at a club that is as great as Tottenham Hotspur, and obviously I'm going to say that, you're going to give it your all. This is a massive stage for him. So I don't understand why a player would not want to perform to their best level. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is about aptitude as well as attitude. It's just that it seems that way to me. He came on at Manchester United away earlier in the season, and he was actually good. And he actually looked like he might be able to turn the game for about 5 minutes. But he was impressive. I'd like to see that all the time, and I'm not.
I think the joke going around last night was that he changed the game himself last night by coming off, and that seemed to. I think I
like that.
Go on, Ian.
Can I just add something as well? I think that Kat said earlier about a number of years she's had a season ticket, and and I know that Kat goes to all the games.
I think last night.
Oh, did you miss last night? Oh, Kat,
I've missed the S's. Sunderland, Southampton, Swansea. They're my misses.
Oh God. Okay. Kat goes to 99.9% of the games.
Thanks, mate.
I think it's telling that even though he hasn't featured prominently that Vincent Janssen has got a song already.
Yep.
And that is indicative for me for the times I've been going to Spurs home and away, which last 8 years or so, constantly, about the last 8 years, and he's got a song. That proves to me that he's resonated with the fans that go to see him every week, and they appreciate what he does bring to the team. I don't see that with Sissoko. I see a man who thinks he's bigger than the team. I see a man who doesn't want to seem to put in the effort for his team. And as you sort of jokingly said, Rick, after 64 minutes when he went off, the whole nature of our team play changed. It seemed that there seemed to be greater positivity, and then when little old Jason's mate set to sign come on,
little
Nkudu, even he brings a smile to the team. Yep. An intensity, and they had to double up on him, when he came on, Nkudu, because they had no idea what he was going to do.
Yeah, my only thing on Nkudu is it's a shame we haven't seen more of him, because this team, I think everything we can say is it's really lacking pace. But then maybe he's not fit enough in Pochettino's eyes yet. Yeah.
I get the impression with Pochettino, it probably takes you 2 years of bloody hard work for you to be even in contention of a first team spot.
No, it is fascinating. Like I say, fingers crossed he has got a Spurs future. Who knows? Let's bring it on to you, Dec. The question I want to ask you is, Antonio Conte came out, I think 2 days before the Spurs game, and said that the expectation is for Chelsea to win the league. At Spurs, it's merely hope. There was a great screen capture when Spurs went 3-1 up against Swansea. He turned to his bench, he asked them what the score was, and he just seemed absolutely perplexed how we turned that game on its head. Pochettino's post-match words, I don't care what people think of the history of this club. This season we are fighting. You've got to say we are still, aren't we? Are we in with even a smither of a chance, or is it gone, in your opinion, the title?
Well, I think there's enough games to go. It's still only 7 points. I think the key thing was we proved it last night. There's still a lot of hope, even with 1-0 down, 89 minutes. You just don't know what's going to happen in football, so just keep plugging away. I think the key thing is just got to win our games. I think that is going to be quite a hard task, although if you compare the fixtures, I think we've got a lot more lower sides, whereas Chelsea have got some tough teams coming up. So it'd be interesting to see who can keep going.
It really will be. Kat, bringing it to you. 7 points better off than last season, scored more, conceded less, and an FA Cup semi-final to come. It's not bad being a Spurs fan at the moment, is it?
It's incredible, isn't it? What a couple of seasons we've had. I have to say I was absolutely heartbroken at the end of last season.
Yes, yeah.
I completely bought in to the fact that we were going to chase Leicester down. So I'm a little bit more guarded this year. So I'm literally focusing on us. We're the chasing team, do what we can do, see what happens. But just, win as many of our matches as we can. But the cup is interesting.
That's what I want to ask you. You've just said it there, I think at the very start of the show. You said this team needs to win something. How important is this FA Cup in your opinion?
Massive. Huge. We haven't won it for, 26 years now since we actually won it, which is a travesty in my opinion, for a team that won it 8 times. It was our regular day out at FA Cup final. So that, we need to get that monkey off our back. We need to win at Wembley for a start, twice. I think it's huge. I think, once they get one trophy under their belt, watch the others follow. It would just be such a travesty if such a talented squad doesn't actually have a trophy to their name. And there's no time like the present. We're so close. We can give Chelsea some major problems. And that will be really interesting. If we're still chasing them down in the league, gets to the semi-final, who knows what can happen. We can do this.
Yeah, we are on the cusp of something great. We really, really are.
Yeah.
Kat, very quickly, because obviously at the moment we are 5 wins away from securing Champions League football for a second consecutive season. You've got to say at the moment, if I listen, let me be honest with you, if I had to ask you one of them, I think Spurs will finish in the top 4, but if I said to you at the moment, what's more pivotal for Spurs, Champions League or that FA Cup, what would you go for?
I want a trophy, because we're not Arsenal.
No.
So we don't celebrate finishing 4th. So I would say the cup, but I don't see why we can't do both. I don't think it's exclusive. We literally have 2 matches left to lift the FA Cup. That's it.
Yes.
That shouldn't distract. So go for both. But if I had to choose one, I'd say the FA Cup.
Going to be tantalising. What a fixture that is. And I think, like Jason, when he's on the pod, he normally says, Jason, that with the only game with Chelsea, you have to say that with them, I mean, they're such a team. They really do capitalise on any mistakes. We have to be on our guard. Ian, bringing it back to you. Fingers crossed we'll have Wanyama back in the team for the game on the weekend. But very quickly, what I do want to ask you on is that at the moment, from what I understand, we've got, if Spurs win their next 4 games and Arsenal were to win their next 4, which I think, being honest, on Arsenal's form, that's looking very unlikely. I must laugh. But we go into that North London derby with the potential of, if we avoid defeat, we would finish above them. What do you make of that potential scenario?
This is going to be a typical Spurs fan answer. I really, really don't give a monkey's about what happens over at the Emirates. I really don't care. You know, for me, I've moved on from that.
Yep.
You know, as I've said, I think on the pod before, I'm 52 years old. I've been through all of the Arsenal sort of Spurs issues. Now, you know my views, Rick.
I do.
You know, I've got more angst and more dislike for Chelsea, and that probably comes from being a West London boy. I don't really care. I genuinely don't care about Arsenal. You know, that they are an insignificance twice a year when we play them. You know, and I think we've moved on under Pochettino. I think we are. I think it was telling yesterday on Match of the Day when Ian Wright was almost begrudging in his praise for what Tottenham have achieved and are achieving, and wishing that the roles in the teams could be revolved. So, you know, I just think that I am fully expecting us, if we can't do the T word, I'm fully expecting us to go one better than last year.
Indeed. And Cap, bring it to you. I want to get your perspective on that, Cap. I mean, I personally think, from my perspective, the whole Arsenal thing, that it wouldn't be such an achievement to finish above them, because in my eyes they're mediocre. We are on the up, season upon season. But is it really big from a Tottenham perspective to finish above them?
I'm going to be slightly less pragmatic here. Yes, it is important, because it sends a signal, and that is vastly important. It sends a signal that we are the best team in North London, which we haven't been for years. So we need to break that. It has been St. Tottering's Day. It needs to be done. I've had enough of it. So we literally need to stamp our authority all over North London, and by finishing above them, that is the way we do it. It hurt last year. Newcastle hurt. We should have finished above them. We let it go. Pochettino was furious. The players got a rocket when they got back after their summer break. He kept that. He ruined his holiday. Did you read the quotes about his wife?
I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. She was livid.
Yeah.
It was fun. I love that man to pieces.
Yeah.
Right? But he was still so angry about that in August that they had it with both barrels. We have got to finish above them this season, and then do it again and again and again for the next 20 years. That would be perfect.
Oh,
because, you know, amen. Exactly. Sorry, I am a Spurs fan. I want to finish above Arsenal. I also want to finish with everybody else. Yeah. It's not, you know, I'm not saying if we finished 11th and they finished 12th, it'd be happy days.
No, it's just
obviously not.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my point of view.
I hear you. I mean, at the moment, we bring it back to the Premier League. We've set actually a record at the moment. 65 points from 30 games played is, like I say, a Premier League club record from Spurs. It shows the progression. Deck, finishing up on the review of this one, Pochettino stood alone on the pitch, applauding the away fans who gleefully sang his name. I mean, they love him, don't they? They absolutely idolise this bloke.
Yeah, I think he's probably one of the most popular managers for a few years. Obviously, we've been through quite a few recently, but I think this guy is starting to become a fan favourite. We're all getting behind him. I think previous seasons there always used to be two camps of, you know, or AVB in, AVB out, or, you know, Sherwood in, Sherwood out. But I think with Pochettino, he's putting in good performances. He's creating a really good side, and yeah, so there's a lot of excitement about the place, and long may it continue.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think there's ever been a manager that we've actually all united over for such a long time. I mean, down the years we've had our, obviously, differences with managers, but this guy, he's magic, isn't he? He's magic, you know, as you guys know. Guys, we're going to go for a very quick break, and after that, we're going to take a host of questions for tonight's panel. Hi guys, welcome back to the e-Spurs podcast. As always, we ask you to get in touch with us on a weekly basis for anything THFC related, and by God, you have got into us overwhelmingly over last night's win and questions for tonight's panel. So, let's by all means, let's go to you first, Cap, tonight. We've got a question here from Davey Elder at the Spurs Poet. This is more to do with trust related. He says, would there be another drop in seating capacity should we happen to stay at the Lane for another season? What do you think? Any news on the stadium you can give us?
Yeah, so in terms of that specific question, that's never been discussed or clarified. Everybody at the club is still working towards us being at Wembley next year. Obviously, the contract hasn't been signed. So until the contract's signed, it's all hypothetical. They've now got an extension until April the 30th to sign that contract if they need that long. So after that date, we'll know where we're playing next year. So I can't answer his specific question. Obviously, there wouldn't be any more seats. This year has already been pretty difficult in terms of ticketing, especially for members. We've lost best part of 5,000 seats that's come out of the member allocation. So there's been difficulties there with demand massively outstripping supply. The short and long answer is I'm not privy enough to what the construction plans would be were we to stay there next year to know if they'd have to rip out all of that North Stand, which is his question. It has never been discussed because everyone's got their eye on the prize, which is let's just get this deal done. Let's get to Wembley and let's get back in on time, on schedule into our new stadium. So that's kind of where that is. That helps.
Yeah, and as we're on that subject, Kat, bringing it to you very quickly, the Wembley adaptation, how do you see that for Spurs? Because, I mean, the form at the Lane this season, it's been fortress, isn't it? I mean, it's unbeaten there. Can we somehow try and do something? I don't know what we're going to do at Wembley because, I mean, people saying it's not the pitch. I mean, I was there for all the Champions League games. I mean, I felt at times, you know, it needs some kind of a singing section or something to bring the fans together because it just seems pockets at times of singing. By the time the song ends, you can't start again. So is there anything the club can do to work with the Supporters Trust on that? Yeah,
I mean, that is a tricky one. And the discussions that we've been having with them would be about how we're going to migrate our existing fans over into Wembley. All the noises that we're getting is that they would look to migrate in blocks. So they'd literally pick up block 25 in the East Stand, block 32 in Park Lane, whatever, and drop it in what they would consider equivalent seating at Wembley. Now, obviously, there isn't really equivalent seating at Wembley. It's 3 times the size.
Yeah.
But the kind of theory behind that is that it would keep groups of friends together. It would keep people who sat at the Lane for a long time together. That familiarity would be there.
Brilliant.
So that would help enhance atmosphere.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. Then obviously you'd be given a chance to move if you didn't like where you'd been dropped and that kind of thing. But looking to fill that lower bowl, so level 1 first, which makes perfect sense to me, rather than trying to, seat season ticket holders up in level 5. So that's kind of one thing that they're looking at with one eye on it. So what we had designated as our home end for the Champions League and the Europa League match there, which was the West Stand at Wembley, the West End, would still be the home end. So that would basically become what Park Lane used to be. So kind of looking at that. What they did do for the Champions League games was designate, I think it was 4 blocks behind that West goal that were singing areas, basically, atmosphere areas. So I, like many others, bought their pack of Champions League tickets in one of those blocks, knowing it was an atmosphere block, and went there fully prepared to do what you always do in an away game and most home games, stand up throughout the entire match and sing your heart out. That's just what you do. Unfortunately, by labelling something an atmosphere block, people thought they were buying an atmosphere. So they'd turn up and it'd be like, okay, well, this is great. Now, where's my atmosphere? Well, I'm really sorry. You have actually got to create the atmosphere as well. You haven't bought an atmosphere. Seriously. We worked with a group called Tottenham AMF, and they crowdfunded to get about, 200 flags. It was loads. And they handed them out at the Leverkusen game. And that was in the atmosphere sections as well. So the club worked with them. The club helped them. They put, drop points for the flags all over the concourses, helped hand them out, etc., etc. What the vast majority of those fans did was go, oh, look, nice new flag. That's going on my bedroom wall. Now, where can I save it for the match? I'm being absolutely serious. There's so much we can do. There's so much the club can do. I think the atmosphere needs to be organic. So we wouldn't want the club to be prescribing too much or trying to orchestrate too much. It's not what we're about at Tottenham. Yeah. But the fans also need to play their part. So, yes, by moving in blocks, that will help. but you can't turn up in an atmosphere section and just expect there to be an atmosphere.
No, I completely agree. I mean, I think it's fantastic, the club, because I think if you look at other clubs around, I don't want to talk about other clubs, it's a Spurs podcast, but the likes of West Ham, I think their biggest problem over there is that they've moved to a new stadium, but yet it seems they haven't actually kept the kind of seating plan the same as Upton Park. So everyone has kind of been dispersed around. No one's kind of been put together in where they were at the stadium. So already you're away from your friends, you're away from who you would normally sit next to. So I think it's great the club is trying to work on that basis. It's great. Just very finally, Kat, on this kind of subject we're on it, safe standing, is that something the club, what do you make of that subject?
I'm going to just going to pause and rewind onto the West Ham thing for a second, if that's okay.
Yeah, go for it.
They have proved useful, though, because they've set a blueprint for how not to migrate your fans from one stadium to another, which the board of Tottenham have watched very carefully.
I bet they have.
The other thing is, we're in a fortunate position here because we get a trial run, because we're moving a set of fans into Wembley, which is effectively your holiday season, and then we're migrating them into our home, which is our new stadium. So if you cock it up really badly at Wembley, it's for one season. You've learnt from your mistakes. I don't think they will, by the way, but I'm just saying that that's also a nice little safety net there. So next season will be interesting on a lot of levels, but getting it right in the new stadium is really key, because that's going to be home destination. So you're going to have to remind me what your next question was now. So I've completely forgotten.
No, so my next question was, from your perspective,
safe standing.
Safe standing, what your view is on that, and whether the club can implement that.
Yeah, okay. So the Trust is obviously pro-safe standing. We think that there should be a choice. A lot of the issues that we saw in the Park Lane at the start of this year were down to the fact that the Paxton season ticket holders who'd sat where the hole now is, there was 1,500 season ticket holders who had to be moved, were moved into Park Lane. The Paxton and Park Lane experience is very different. Paxton is seated, a family area. Park Lane is incredibly rowdy, with a lot of persistent standing. The Paxtonites weren't particularly happy with the standing. The Park Laners were not happy with the Paxtonites telling them to sit down. So that was a great little kind of, encapsulated the issue here, which is it is about a choice. It's about a choice to sit and about a choice to stand. So if you give people areas where they can stand, then the people who want to sit and watch the games can also do that in comfort. So that's a great argument. I think that kind of drummed it home to the club as well. In fairness to Tottenham, they're also pro-safe standing. They have said right from the word go that Populous have built in some adaptations to the design of the 17,000-seater single-tier end that would mean that we could turn some of that, I think it's about 7,000 seats, into a safe standing area, were legislation changed. Right. On the back of a recent meeting with the board of Tottenham, they spoke to Richard Scudamore, who's the chief executive at the Premier League, to ask him to raise it with DCMS, the Department for Culture, Media and Sport, to ask if we could have a definition on what rail seating is. I presume you all know what rail seating is, whether that was seating or whether that was standing. Because if it was classed as seating, you can implement it. They came back and obviously said they class it as standing. So there's now hopefully going to be some pan Premier League pressure that will go into government, and that's kind of where that's sitting now. The Celtic case study's been very positive and very interesting, and I know representatives of Tottenham have been up to Celtic to look at that, as have representatives of Man United and various other Premier League teams. So we'll see where we get on that. For the moment, though, it's in the hands of the Premier League to push with the DCMS, basically. Right. So there's not that much more we can do because it's kind of in a legal stage, as it were.
Yeah. Thanks so much for that, Kat. Honestly, I think I'd say it's brilliant. Thank you very much for that information. We're going to roll it on. We're going to go back to the questions. We're going to come to you, Declan. We've got a question here from Neil McClern at Nile5000, who says, what has Poch done that has changed the mindset of these players so that when a game is late on and still down, we can come back to win?
That's a very good question. You would have thought every sort of team would implement some kind of strategy to have this kind of mindset to keep going. So there's definitely, it must be something surrounding not just what Pochettino sort of thinks and instills in his players, but also in the man himself, I think, and also the staff around him. I think just looking at celebrations from the Swansea game, they're all very together. I think it was Poch, Jesus Perez, they're all having a nice group hug. It's good to see. But yeah, I think the key thing is obviously it's the mentality, but also I think it's the squad itself and the kind of the harmony within the squad and how players get on with each other.
Yeah.
Everyone works together and they work hard for each other. So I think that's the reason why we come back from games, because they all club together and say, "Come on, let's change the result and they did.
They did. They really, really did. We're going to bring it to you next, Ian. We've got a question here from Z-Man11215, regular listener to the pod. I hope you're well, Z-Man. At SpursDog1, he asks, regarding Swansea's goal, the start of the game, was it a total fluke or did the defence get exposed? And also, what a thrill. Janssen provided that spark when he came on. Hopefully a confidence boost for the rest of the season.
Okay, so I'll answer the first bit first. Was it a fluke? From what I saw, we were pushing out, and I just think it was all part of our normal sort of reaction to getting the ball up to Swansea's keeper. He then launched it, and then was it AU? I think it was AU from Swansea. He just stole a march on Davis. So I think it wasn't a fluke, because that would be doing Swansea a major disservice. But it was a slight lack of focus.
Cohesion in the back line, wasn't it?
Cohesion, focus on some of the defensive things. Because I didn't think they thought that Fabianski could kick it that far. And then I don't know, it was discussed on social media. I don't know what they call it, a butt meg or a
Rev Meg
or a Rev Meg or whatever.
Who cares what it was? Who cares what it was?
Definite confidence booster.
Really is. Yeah. Well, that brings us on nicely to our next question. Spurs news at Blog Spurs. One word answer, guys, from you all. Kat, first to you. Should he start at the weekend? Yes or no, Janssen?
Yeah, definitely.
Ian, yes or no at the weekend, starting?
Yeah, definitely.
And Deck, to you, yes or no, starting?
Yeah, he must start.
There you go. Everyone in agreement he should be starting. Let's go to you next, Kat. We've got a question here from Giovanni Van Bale, at Giovanni Van Bale. He asks, even if we don't win the league, can we keep second place till the end of the season?
Why not? Let's be ambitious here. We're in uncharted waters, really, for Tottenham over the past few decades. So, yes, damn right we can. Minimum.
Minimum. There you go. You've heard it from Kat here first. Minimum. Second. Let's go to you next, Declan. Question here from Dark, at Go Dark Spurs. He says, sure it was against Swansea, but does that victory silence any critics regarding the depth of our squad? I think we've touched upon that tonight. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think that does silence the critics. All the players we put out did do a shift. Well, maybe Sissoko a little less, but I think all the players there, they put in their effort, and yeah, we proved that the squad is deep enough, even despite, was it 4 or 5 injuries now to key players? Yeah.
Crazy, it really is. I'm bringing it back round to you, Ian. Next question, Paul Sandy at Paul Sandy 78. He says, good question this one. How much do you reckon Pochettino leans on his inner circle of coaches? His attention to detail must make it so hard to fully trust certain coaches. What do you make of that question? I think it's a cracking question.
Yeah, I'm going to say, I'm going to turn it back on some of my work experience. I think you only really get a decent team ethic if you've got a really good group of people around you. And I think that the backroom staff that Pochettino's got, he obviously does trust. They obviously get his philosophy, and then they often, you see clips of them that the club produces. You can see them drilling the team and the players, at the training ground, and I think it's no secret that I think if Jesus wasn't there or Tony wasn't there, would we have the people in that could do the job to Pochettino's satisfaction? Because I get the impression that he's a bit of a hard taskmaster as Maurizio. I wouldn't like to cross him. So I think that, if truth be told, I genuinely believe that you are only as good as the team you have around you.
Yeah, managerial moves. What we've seen, guys, is we sometimes see managerial moves break down because, there isn't always that. Managers don't always seem to get the backroom staff they want, so it just shows you how imperative to a manager his team is. Bringing it around to you, Kat, we've got a question here from Rog Splodge. Interesting Twitter handle. God, you get some funny ones on here. Isn't it time to give Wimmer a go at centre-back and move Jan to left-back pending the return of Danny Rose? What do you make of that one?
The whole Wimmer thing is just quite confusing, really. Do we think he's out the door? It isn't looking good for him, is it? Let's put it this way. Now, off on a tangent slightly, I really hope he does stay, because Wimmer's mum goes on every chartered train that the club lay on.
Oh dear.
She sits with the fans and she sings all the songs. So for Mrs. Wimmer, I would very much like her son to stay.
What an exclusive! What an exclusive that is there. Brilliant.
But you want to say he doesn't fancy him, wouldn't you? Really? In old
Well,
terms.
I think the worst thing is you got to be careful if you slag him off because his mum's sitting next to you.
Well, yes, exactly. The legend.
I think it's a brilliant. Next question, Deck. If we were to buy Luke Shaw, would we push Danny Rose forward? That's from Nicky B at Nicky Boy Brook. Do you think that's a potential option? Can Danny Rose play left mid?
Well, I remember that he actually started in the youth academy as a centre mid, so
Yeah.
I think that's the key reason why he's so good at left back and going forwards, because he's always had that.
I must say, echoes of Gareth Bale, isn't it? A little bit. Started at left back, moved to left mid, moved to left mid,
Yeah,
then got
yeah.
shifted into the centre. I mean, I don't say that's for Danny Rose, but I mean, is that a possibility?
I think Danny, he's just. I think he's definitely different to Bale, but he has the same qualities. He has the pace, he has the attacking threat, but we'll have to see in the next few years, because I think he's come on a lot the last 2 seasons, but we'll see how far it might go in the next couple of seasons.
Yeah. We'll have to wait and see. Bring it back round to you, Ian. Question here from Alok Badri, who says, what is the one thing between us and the Premier League title? Don't say Chelsea, but I think, how can you not?
Do you know what? I'm gonna say this.
Go
I think if you look at the other lot, from in West London, I think that they've had a pretty unscathed season when it comes to injuries. I don't recall them having that bad an injury crisis as we've had. You've said it a lot, and we've said it in here tonight, and I think, only about 2 or 3 times, I think, in the season, or is it 5 times, that we've been able to field what we would consider to be our first 11, our first choice 11.
5 times? I think it's only been 5 times. It's crazy.
Yeah. So I think that if we could have a season where we kept everybody fit, and because playing together, it gives you the confidence that you put all of what you learn on the training ground into practice, and if you play together and you've got your top team out and your first 11 out, then you're all confident in everybody's ability, and I just think that that's the only thing that I think is standing between us and toppling the Chelsea boys.
And very quickly, just a quick one. We've had a couple of quotes about Luke Shaw. Bringing it to you, Kat. We've had Stephen Walker ask about Luke Shaw. We've had Nicky B ask about Luke Shaw. Is that a player Spurs could have an interest in? I mean, I say he's worked with Pochettino before. Seems to be getting absolute pelters from his manager over at Man United at the moment.
Yeah. Again, the Pochettino recruitment policy would be attitude as well as aptitude, as we've already said.
Yeah.
I think there's always an issue if you're asking someone to come in and play second fiddle to somebody else, which effectively you probably would be. Who knows? I mean, you guys are probably far more qualified than I am to talk about Luke Shaw as a player and his quality. What I will say is, since I joined the Trust board, my match days have been shot to pieces. There is always something going on. Often you miss most of the match because you're trying to sort out an issue. Or there's some initiative going on. So I'm going to bow to you lot, and you can crack on with your Luke Shaw conversation.
Let's have it. Let's
Can
have it
I?
out.
Well, can I just sort of like echo what Kat's just said, because I can recall the game away at Vicarage Road, and it was almost like, Kat was like a doctor, and it was like, it was like next, and there's a steady stream of people making their way over to see her.
Dortmund was the classic one, though, where we missed probably 70 minutes of the match.
Because you were caught outside, weren't you?
Yeah,
right.
that was just chaos. So you go all that way and literally saw about 20 minutes.
We're going to bring it to you, Deb, very quickly. Last couple of questions, and we're going to move on to the game against Watford at the weekend. Toby is such a critical cog in the Spurs machine. Without him, we looked vulnerable. Is there any centre-back you would trade him for? And that's from Edward Santilli, very quickly.
I think he's untradeable. I don't know how.
Yeah.
He's one of the best centre-backs we've had in years since Ledley, I'd say. So,
yes, indeed.
I don't know who you'd trade him for at all.
Yeah, it's a cracking question. I think we'll have to. That question, I think, is impossible to answer. I mean, I think we would say no. We wouldn't trade him for anyone. We would not trade him for anyone. Sticking with you, Deck, for a second. Answer this next one for us. Do you think our last 2 results prove that we have grown as a team and are capable of winning the Premier League in the not too distant future? That's from Ian Shacklock at Shackers10.
Well, as long as you keep winning the games, then of course you can win the league. You just take each game as it comes. Yeah, I think we've come a long way, definitely. Yeah. I think it's just the last minute winners we've been scoring as well. It's something that's sort of become part of our game the last 3 years under Pochettino. It's just been an expectancy. You always sit there now and you can just feel it you always have a hope and belief. I was sitting there. I was at the game for Ghent. That was at home. That was a horrible game. But even then, I was sitting there. A lot of people were leaving that early, but even I was sitting there, just thinking, "Oh, surely the goal is going to come soon." But no, not that time.
That answers your question. Thanks very much, Dec. I'm going to bring it back round to you, Ian. Yes or no on this one? With Janssen's performances this season improving game by game, should we stick with him or buy another striker in the transfer window? That's from David S. at Dave of Hackney. Yes or no, Ian? Very quickly, what do you think on that one?
Yes, because I always think you can improve your squad.
Fair enough.
But as long as we do improve the squad, and I think we've had this conversation before, that if there was a player out there, and again I'm going to get slaughtered again, if there was a player out there that was better than Harry Kane, then why wouldn't you buy him?
Of course, if the money's there, of course. Yeah.
If the money's there. And just quickly on, because I don't think we answered that question for the listener about Luke Shaw.
Go on, very quickly, Luke Shaw.
Yeah, Luke Shaw, wasn't he on the periphery or close, or didn't he get into the England side?
I think he did. I think under Poch.
One stage.
He did,
Under Poch.
He did.
And I just think, again, attitude. Maybe his attitude under Pochettino was better than the attitude he's now showing for Mourinho. How's that for an answer?
I mean, it
That's a very good answer.
I mean, it wouldn't be the first time we've seen Mourinho lose. I mean, we've seen him at Chelsea, lost the dressing room. You know, certain players, like I say, don't seem to get on with him. Let's put that politely. And again, another player here that, I mean, if you keep constantly digging at him, then I don't really understand how it could get the best out of him. But, you know, listen, the guy's won countless trophies, so who knows? But, I mean, he's a player that's played under Poch before. He knows him well. He certainly performed under him, so all remains to be seen with that one. Guys, I just want to say thank you so much for all your questions this week. Honestly, overwhelming. Sorry we haven't got through to you all. We're going to go on to the preview of the weekend's game against Watford. Let's bring it round to you, Ian. Form has been formidable at White Hart Lane. Watford coming on Saturday. They come off the back of a win. Again, it's going to be a game where many will expect us to win, and we have to keep winning these games, don't we? Yeah,
we do. And I think that I think we've said it tonight. I've seen a greater resilience in the squad this year than I'd have last year, and I genuinely believe that we won't see the tailing off that we saw last season. So, you know, I fully expect, but with a certain amount of patience, that it'll be a similar game to that game. Was it last year where I think we were reliant on
Kieran Trippier, wasn't it?
Kieran Trippier,
yeah.
And but then we sort of like overwhelmed Watford for huge parts of that game, and I think that the crowd showed a bit of patience, and we got the 1-0 win, and I can see it being a similar affair on Saturday.
Yeah, it's going to be a cracking game, and fingers crossed another 3 points. Bringing it to you, Kat. I mean, another game where expectancy is going to be on our side to win the game. We just got to keep it up, haven't we? The form has been formidable. I think it's 5 wins on the bounce so far in the league. Can we make it 6?
Yeah, of course we can. But the pressure is going to start telling. You're absolutely right there. So this is where it becomes a real test of our character, because it's just a few games away from where the wheels fell off last year. So we need to focus. We need to be professional, be patient, do our job, and we'll be fine. Yeah. We can definitely a winnable game. But indeed, every game that passes now with the last 8, as we're ticking down, the pressure's going to mount.
Yeah, and the argument will be, I think, like you just said there, Kat, is that it will have that kind of feeling, these games going into it. We don't want another one of those West Brom games at home where we don't. Like last season, I mean, it was, you know, don't get me wrong, great at the end to see the fans' appreciation, but we want to go into these games winning them. But
of course we do.
Gonna be tough. Dec, coming to you. Prediction for the game, Dec. What do you think?
I reckon we'll have a 3-0 win. Be a comfortable win, I reckon.
Yeah.
Keep the White Hart Lane record going to the end of the season.
God, you're confident.
Yeah, keep it going. I reckon we can do it. I mean, I haven't lost a game yet, so why should we lose a game? Just keep it going.
Yeah, Ian, to you, prediction?
My prediction for the game on Saturday is a 1-0 win, but it'll be a comfortable 1-0 win.
Okay, comfortable 1-0 win. Do Spurs do those? I've never heard of Spurs doing a comfortable 1-0 win. God. Oh dear. Well, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed the goal comes early anyway, but then we'll have to suffer towards the end of the game, so who knows. Kat, prediction for the game?
3-1.
3-1, okay. I want to go with that. I think 3-1, like I say, it's a game that hopefully if we score early, we always say that, scoring early. Are we going to see the club put anything wheels in motion for the last game, if there is to be a last game at the Lane? Are we going to see anything special from the club?
There are plans afoot for a fitting farewell ceremony. They're obviously having to work to that being the Manchester United game, even without knowing that we're definitely going to Wembley, but, wheels have to be put in motion. I think when we know when that match is going to be played, so if it's going to be a Saturday afternoon, a Sunday afternoon, or a Monday night or whatever, that will make a vast difference to how that kind of last ceremony evolves. If it's nighttime, it's a very different experience to if it's daylight and, whatever. So until they know that time, they can't actually finalise everything. But in the last meeting we had, Donna Cullen, who's the executive director there, said she can guarantee there won't be a dry eye in the house. Oh. So there we go. So I won't be wearing any mascara, and I would advise you lads not to neither. But yeah, no, there's various things going on. I mean, the programme's already been written, apparently. Oh. They've got the book, The Lane, which is out from the club and all good booksellers. They are going to do some form of time capsule, and they're asking fans to submit ideas for that. So if any fans have any ideas about what should be put into this time capsule, the email address is futureplans@tottenhamhotspur.com. So there's various bits and bobs going on, basically. So there will be something that will be quite special.
Yeah. Any of the guys that do have any ideas, can they also contact you on Twitter about that as well? Are they free to reach out?
Sure.
Yeah, just want to give out, I know, Kat, I don't see the majority of Tottenham fans will know who you are, but do you just want to give out your Twitter handle just in case anyone does want to get in touch with you directly on that?
So my personal Twitter handle is @catspur71, and you can also contact us at the Trust, which is at thstofficial. Official, that's the Twitter handle, and thstofficial.com is the website.
Yeah, and like I say, at the end of this, what you will find, guys, is when this podcast goes live, is that Katrina, Ian, and Dex Twitter handles will be put into a tag, so you can follow those guys on Twitter, get in touch with them, debate. I'm sure, like I say, they'll be to their heart's content, happy to answer any of your questions, because Kat has nothing else to do on a daily basis, I'm sure.
Absolutely nothing, mate.
No, absolutely nothing. Guys, I can't thank you enough for tonight. Kat, thank you so much for coming on.
You're really welcome.
Thank you again. And Declan, thank you so much for your contribution tonight.
Well, thank you very much for having me. First time, it's been great. Thanks.
Yeah, glad you've enjoyed it. And Ian, thank you as always.
Yeah, no worries. And I've predicted the run-in, mate. We're going to go to West Ham. We're going to beat them and relegate them. And then on the last game of the season at Manchester United, we're going to lift the title as well. So there you go.
Guys, thank you so much again. Enjoy the podcast. And as always, come on, you Spurs.
We won't give it up. We're gonna bring the cup back home to White Hart.